Is there something, because now it says Lisa. You good? Yeah. Oh, great. Well, welcome everybody. I will call the meeting to order. And first up on the agenda is, clerk, will you please call the roll? I just do this backwards, but I'll do that after.
Bajent.
Here.
Clegg.
Here.
Halliburton.
Here.
Sanchez.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Woodings.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. And next up, I'm working backwards, is the invocation, which we'll observe by a moment of silence, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And next up, item 4, request for approval the minutes of the work session and evening meeting of June 9th, 2020.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the city council minutes from the work session of June 9th, 2020, and the regular evening meeting of June 9th, 2020.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent.
Yes.
Clegg.
Yes.
Halliburton.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have 3 deferrals. Should I do these in 2 separate motions? Okay. The first one, I move that we defer Resolution 226-20, the home loan docs, to the June 30th council date. The closing date for this transaction has been moved, and we're still negotiating documents.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent.
Yes.
Clegg.
Yes.
Halliburton.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
And Madam Mayor, also moving to defer under public hearings, CAR 19-22 and CUP 19-64 to the date of July 28th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent.
Yes.
Clegg.
Yes.
Halliburton.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thanks. Next up under special business, I think if I'm correct, the weekly update is now here for when there are new updates, but we have before us Resolution 24820 for the public health emergency order. And I'm not sure if staff is here online to present or if council would like us to answer any questions.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I just have one thing to note, which I think we discussed earlier, but I wanted it to be clear for the public. Our public health order has a different crowd size than what the governor has outlined. So could you just kind of speak to that a little bit so that the public knows the plan?
Sure. The public order has a couple things. I'll start with crowd size first, and that is for while we're in stage 4, which will be reviewed and changed by the governor, as early as when he would review it is, I think, the 26th perhaps. So for the next stage, which will have an end date at some point, we have a crowd size of 250 people. We've also continued to hold how do we say, not crowd size, but the number of people that can enter the airport, and we're restricting entry to those who are traveling or to those who are arriving. And also we have continued with virtual meetings, except for in the case of planning and zoning and city council, where we're doing a hybrid of virtual and here in person with all of you. Yes.
I heard from a couple of constituents over the past few days who had some concern and just wanted to know that there is a timeline to where that 250 might be lifted. So I just wanted that to be really clear.
Yep.
And with that, Madam Mayor, I move approval of RES 248-20, a resolution ratifying Public Health Emergency Order 20-08, reopening Boise City Stage 4, enacted June 11th, 2020, and providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
And next up, item 6 is the consent agenda. All items with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or member of the public asks that they be removed.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. And next up, I think I skipped a page. We don't have any ordinances on first or second reading. However, we do have 2 on the third reading.
Madam Mayor, I move that further reading of ORD 16-20 and ORD 17-20 be dispensed with, and the record reflect that they've been read a third time in full.
That was a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
ORD-16-20, an ordinance describing the exterior boundaries and annexing property on North Linda Vista Lane into the Boise City Municipal Irrigation System, providing for the construction and operation of the pressurized irrigation system by the City of Boise City Public Works Department, directing the Boise City Clerk to record a certified copy of this ordinance in the office of the Ada County Recorder and providing an effective date. ORD-17-20, an ordinance CAR 19-00004 for property generally located at 8363 West Bogart Lane, Boise, Idaho 83714, amending zoning classifications of the City of Boise City to change the classification of real property particularly described in Section 1 of this ordinance from single-family residential R-1A to single-family residential and development agreement R-1CDA, setting forth a reasoned statement in support of such zone change and providing an effective date.
Madam Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move that ORD 16-20 and ORD 17-20 be approved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. And now we'll move into I'm sorry. We have one ordinance on first, second, and third reading.
Madam Mayor, I move that all rules of the council interfering with the immediate consideration of ORD 19-20 be suspended, that the portions of Idaho Code 50-902 requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days, twice by title and once in full, be dispensed with, and that the records show it has been read the 3rd time in full.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bajent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
ORD 19-20, an ordinance CAR 19-00032 for property located at 612 North Avenue H Avenue, amending zoning classifications of the city of Boise City to change the classification of real property particularly described in section 1 of this ordinance from R2 medium density residential to R-3D multifamily residential with design review, setting forth a reasoned statement in support of such zone change, providing for a waiver of the reading rules, and providing an effective date.
Madam Mayor, I move that ORD 19-20 be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Agent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thanks, Shar. Okay, next up, we have new business. Item 9A, subdivisions 1, South Point Cottages, SUB 19-76.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. This is a request for approval of a preliminary plat for a residential subdivision that includes 36 buildable and 7 common lots on about 4 acres located or addressed at 10983 West Overland Road in an LOD or limited office with design review zone. For those unfamiliar with the site, it's located just west of the Fred Meyer at the intersection of Overland and 5 Mile Roads. I would also note that 5 Mile Creek parallels the southern boundary of the site. The intersection is a community activity center in the comprehensive plan, which already includes a number of support services, including retail, restaurants, and 2 grocery stores. We also already have bus service along Overland Road. The activity center, this activity center already has actually most, if not almost all of the desirable uses. But what is noticeably missing is the density to really make it thrive. The vision for these centers as established in the comprehensive plan is density of about 12 to 20 units per acre. A recent analysis shows there's a density of only about 2 units per acre at this activity center. But in addition to density, these smaller homes proposed will actually add a new product type that's to the area. That's something we strive for in all of our neighborhoods. I think it's also important to note that any traffic from the project will have direct access to Overland Road and not be routed to through that neighborhood to the south. Moving on to the subdivision, again, it includes 36 buildable lots. The lots average just over 2,000 square feet in size and will support smaller, detached, single-family homes. Each of the homes will be two bedrooms and about 900 square feet in size. Each home will have a 1-car garage with an additional paved parking pad for the second parking space. Guest parking, while not required, will be accommodated along the sides of the east-west service drives in the project. An open space lot with play equipment and a pathway along 5 Mile Creek have been provided as amenities. The applicant is installing additional sidewalk and crosswalks for pedestrians to access the trail along 5 Mile Creek. It's also important to note that there's a bridge across that creek providing pedestrian connectivity into the residential neighborhood to the south. The Planning Commission, as you saw in your packet, did recommend approval of the subdivision back in February. That same night, they approved a conditional use permit for planned unit development. That decision was not appealed, so it is only the subdivision before you this evening. I think as you saw in the record, there was some concern expressed at that time with the project. They focused on things we often hear: traffic, density, and just general infill development. While the hearing is not an appeal, I would like to just briefly address those. As mentioned before, 5 Mile Creek along the southern boundary really effectively isolates this project from that neighborhood from a traffic perspective. Also note that the combination of setbacks and the common lots result in over 200 feet of separation between the proposed structures and those homes to the south. So with that, staff and the commission did find the subdivision to be consistent with the long-term vision for the area. It meets all of the objective criteria of the development code and the requirements of commenting agencies. So we are recommending approval of the preliminary plat this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. Are there questions for Cody?
Madam Mayor, I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Cody, although the PUD was approved, since this is a preliminary plat, I wondered about connectivity to the Fred Meyers. So the pathway that will connect along 5 Mile Creek is the back of the store where all of the freight traffic will be, and access that aligns with the sidewalk at the garden center would better serve people who are headed over there to shop. And didn't see anything in here that required that.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Clegg, I think you should switch screens on me this week. Your virtual image is in a different place, maybe. You're correct. The pedestrian connection is from 5 Mile Creek at that very southern boundary of the site. We included a recommended condition that was adopted by the commission that required for reciprocal cross access be granted, if that property were to redevelop. I think we could ask the applicant when they present briefly this evening if they're agreeable to moving or providing some sort of pedestrian easement for future access. I would think they'd be fine with it. It's my understanding that the conflict has been with the grocery store itself at this time.
Thank you.
And the applicant magically appeared.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Halliburton.
Cody, I guess just a question about that path, one more. It kind of already exists, right? And so are there improvements to the path, or is it just leaving the existing path that's kind of in place there? I couldn't really tell exactly what it looked like. It looked like maybe it was a dirt path that's just kind of been there for a while.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Halliburton, it's actually already paved and improved. There's been landscaping along the creek there for some time, and then the bridge across to the south is already in place. So as conditioned, we're simply requiring paved connections and crosswalks to that already paved path.
Great, thanks, Cody.
All right, with that, I think we can move on to who's good? Applicant.
Good evening, everybody. Heath Clark, 251 East Front Street in Boise, representing the applicant and representing Conger Group. Dave, I think I'll just share my screen if that's okay, so I can flick around a little bit more easily. Is that okay?
You should be able to.
Okay, there we go. It was fighting me there for a second, so. Okay, I think we're good now. So as Cody mentioned, this is a project just south of the Overland Road Transportation Corridor in an LOD zone. It's an application for 36 single-family detached units right next to the established community activity center that Cody described at 5 Mile and Overland. It is truly infill development, truly within yards of shopping, restaurants, and employment. This is the depiction from the staff report showing how close that is. The product that we are proposing is shown on the screen. It's alley loaded, detached, single family for sale homes. It's inspired by a similar product at the Stapleton, Colorado community. It's true infill, and we have worked with the site to arrive at an appropriate layout. The homes are alley loaded, and we'll use the service drives to access a garage and a parking pad. The lots are oriented toward the open space and play area shown on the west, and then as well as the 2 rows of homes forming a mu on the east. It's an efficient use of the space, and it remains well within the LO density standards. With regard to open space, because of the approved PUD and the site layout that we've proposed, we're able to orient the lots toward the interior open spaces. The flexibility provided by the PUD helps us preserve about 25% of the project in open space. It's a small infill project, and that PUD really functions the way it's intended to in this application. The play area on the west will have a play structure, climbing boulders, and a seating area. All of the open spaces will use high efficiency irrigation, and we have internal pedestrian pathways located throughout that connect to the existing pathway on the south. Now we've called that a regional pathway for lack of a better term because it serves the larger area. With regard to, I think this will help with Councilmember Halliburton's question about what exists there now. These are some views of the pathway as it currently exists. It runs along the 5 Mile Creek and provides not only direct connections to the Fred Meyer parking lot, but as Cody mentioned, a buffer to the properties to the south. That pathway and the 5 Mile Creek together provide a significant buffer, as Cody showed you. The pathway, in further response to Councilmember Halliburton's question, the pathway is in, but we do it as a result of this application. The landscaping and the adjoining properties will be much better maintained. You can see that it tends to dry out as it currently exists. And here I wanted to outline a little bit more of the pedestrian connectivity within the project. It's highlighted in red, and this shows the access to the pathway on the south up to Overland and into the future commercial development lots on the north. It's our hope that this will be the catalyst to get that northern property developed. And with regard to the question about a future connection to the east, we are more than open to that. The grocery store, Fred Meyer, on the east, currently there's a fence that goes all the way down to the pathway location. But we are certainly open to additional connectivity there if that becomes an opportunity. So I will wrap up with just a couple of more thoughts. We think this is a great infill project. It uses the various tools in the planning toolbox to bring online a very livable and affordable project. It transitions from a single family neighborhood on our south across a regional pathway to our project. It brings density adjacent to transportation corridors, which is obviously a Blueprint Boise plant goal. And it is that density is well within the allowances of the LO zone. We think it's perfectly placed next to that 5 Mile Creek pathway, next to a major transportation corridor and within walking distance of employment and shopping. I also wanted to reiterate a point that Cody made, which was when it comes to traffic, ACHD has approved this, and in fact, this use generates less traffic than what the prior plan was. Reduces the PM peak hour traffic by about half would have been generated from this property in particular. And I will just wrap up by saying we are in agreement with the terms and conditions of the staff report and look forward to bringing this project online. Happy to answer any questions.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Clark. You mentioned that this would allow for affordable units. Can you give us an idea of what that range would be?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Sanchez, we're still working through what exactly the price points would be. We anticipate in the very low 200s, somewhere in that range.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for the applicant, Council President?
Oh, sorry, I was not on mute, but since you called on me, I just will say that I think that this is a project that's much needed, and this kind of affordable housing is something we've been looking for. I appreciate the applicant's willingness to get cross access to the east, and then we can work with the grocery store to get that open. I suspect they'll be happy to let 60 or so new shoppers have access to their store once they get it in.
Madam Mayor.
Hey, thanks, Council President. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay. I didn't mute
You.
Madam Mayor, mine's not really a question, but more a comment about the layout of this neighborhood. As I was looking at this neighborhood, at first I was concerned that the streets or the alleys coming up to those garages were going to create some kind of dissonance within the neighborhood. It's like, okay, well, are people gonna hang out by their garages so that they're closer to the street? But then as I started looking more closely at it, I noticed that all of the green space is in the front of the homes, which I think is going to be a really nice way for a lot of community to be built within this neighborhood with all that shared green space. So I just wanted to comment on how thoughtfully I thought it was designed, and it's a really neat, much needed product.
Thank you. Thank you. So other questions for the applicant or for staff? All right, thanks. As based on conversations with Amanda, it appears as though there is not a representative of the neighborhood association online. I want to just confirm that and then also see if there's a representative of the neighborhood association here. All right, thank you. With that, yeah, we will, this is a public hearing on the subdivision. I don't have anybody signed up. As far as we can tell, there's nobody online signed up to talk about the subdivision. Anybody here have comments on this subdivision? Thank you. So will the record please reflect that there is nobody here to make comments on this subdivision as part of the public hearing. And with that, I will close the public hearing and the matter is before you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve SUB 19-76 South Point Cottages, Boise City preliminary plat, 10983 West Overland Road, preliminary plat for a residential subdivision comprised of 36 buildable and 7 common lots on 4.03 acres located in an LOD zone.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you, any discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just asking the maker of the motion if she intended that we ask for that cross-access agreement to the east.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to amend my motion to reflect a condition for cross-access to the east.
Thank you.
And the seconder?
Second the amended motion.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just would point out that this is exactly what we're looking for, right? This is the goal. Dense, affordable housing along a transportation corridor is right at the heart of Blueprint Boise, and it's thoughtfully designed. It's placed right next to the amenities that people use, and it's a great use of space.
All right. And with that, it looks as though our virtual council members are good. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Agent,
Yes.
Clegg,
Yes.
Halliburton,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Woodings.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thanks so much, and nice to see you, Mr. Clark and others. And if there's nothing else to come before the council,
Madam Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
we have a motion, and a second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Aye.
See you all later.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.